But today we're going to move on. What are we going to move on? Melissa, Mel, tell us. I will. We're going to go into the four cardinal virtues of the Stoics, and we're also going to talk about philosophical journaling. So let's get into it. The four cardinal virtues for the Stoics were wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. So let's break it down. The wisdom, it's not just about what you know or being smart. This is practical wisdom. This is being able to navigate complexities, difficult situations ethically and effectively. Okay, so that's what the wisdom is. And so it's sort of putting together what you know, your life experience, what you've read, what you've observed, what you've learned. And hopefully you've done that with an eye to understanding different points of view so that you can have a broader understanding of what's going on. So that's wisdom. And we'll move on to justice. And this is where you are fair and you act with integrity when you're dealing with other people. It's treating people with respect, doing the right thing, doing what you say you're going to do. All of these things that allow you to show up in solidarity with what your character is. And granted, these are the ideals, and so it's not, oh, I messed that up, so I'm going to throw it in, throw the towel in, forget it, chuck it. No, this is what we strive for, right? I don't always act with wisdom. You give me a night short of sleep and me hangry, wisdom may not be my forte. But, I do try to treat all people with respect and not be dismissive. I think that the fast track to alienation and all of the despair and woes that can cause, depression, addiction, othering people, being on, you're not on my team, so get out of here. It's dehumanizing. And so, we get to practice with being just and fair and respectful. And the third one is courage. And we're not talking about slaying the dragon, like running the race, doing the physical thing. This is moral courage. And whew, it can be tough because you may know the right thing to do, and it can be really difficult. Really difficult. But are you able to have your courage and to do the right thing in a way that is just and with wisdom? Tall order. Oh, but let's put on another layer, shall we? Temperance. It's not just a, pioneer name. Temperance is about self-control, moderation. It's not about never having fun. It's about balance. It's about having desires and not being controlled by them. You can be, the biggest horn dog in the world, but you keep your pants on. Okay, great. Well, that's displaying temperance. It's when you don't let your desires rule your life, whether that's, sex, drugs, gaming, drinking, eating, any of the things, shopping. We can do anything to excess. And we get this dopamine hit when we do things, and it's not for the long run. And that's where temperance comes into being really a great influence, is when you can release yourself from the thrall of whatever desire it is that is directing your behavior. And they all work together, okay? Wisdom, justice, courage, temperance. It takes wisdom to know what the right thing to do is. It takes a sense of justice to want to do it, courage to do it, right? And follow through, and temperance to do it in the right measure, not too harshly, not too leniently, right? It's balanced and fair. So a modern example. Let's say you've got a manager on your team, and you find out that one of your top performing employees has been falsifying reports. Okay? So you're the manager, and how might those virtues guide you? Well, wisdom, you understand the full implications of the situation, all the different nuances to this, why, what is good, what is bad, what is acceptable to your company, what is acceptable to you personally. You're managing a team, and they have to live up to the company standards and your standards. So that's one thing. And then justice means that you're going to address the issue fairly regardless of the employee's status as the top, top earner or top person in the team, you're going to address the issue fairly. And you have to have courage to be able to have that conversation. It doesn't have to be a confrontation that's really strong and negative, but there does need to be a serious conversation about that because you use metrics to follow how your team members are doing. And if they're fudging it or, increasing their numbers without basis, then you have bad numbers. How are you going to lead your team with that? So you have to have the courage to take the necessary action. And temperance is what's going to come in, and you're not going to be overwhelmed by frustration or anger. You're going to have a response that is measured and appropriate. It's not overly harsh, it's not overly lenient. There will be consequences, but you're not gonna throw the baby out with the bathwater, as we say in the US. You're going to be fair. Well, that was a great example. Why, thank you. I'm so pleased you liked it. So let's see. How do we develop these virtues? Well, what's the second topic for today? Philosophical journaling. Yes, please. So, part of being a Stoic philosopher back in the day and even now is you have to really prioritize self reflection. You really want to know yourself, right? You really want to develop these virtues. Um, and so Marcus Aurelius' Meditations, highly recommend. It was his personal journal. He was not a big fan of writing things down. And no one wrote down the things that he spoke about or taught about, but he regularly examined his thoughts and actions so that he could cultivate virtue and grow as an individual. All right, so okay, how might I do that? I don't have papyrus. Well, all you need is a notebook. You can keep it digitally. I highly recommend writing. I have an episode about journaling. Look it up, and there's science behind how writing it out really helps you process things more deeply. And you want to set aside time daily, every day, preferably, morning or evening, not in the midst of all the hullabaloo, um, for reflection. And a lot of people like to do this at the end of the day because they've had the day and they can reflect back on the day. Or if you want to do it in the morning, you can look forward to the morning or you can look back on yesterday. So you're going to review your actions for whatever period you're examining and ask yourself, okay, where did I display the four virtues? Where did I display wisdom, justice, courage, or temperance? Ah, okay, great. Where did I fall short? Ear. Take a moment, write about that. And then, okay, well, what could I have done differently? What could I have done that would have modeled the four virtues? Okay. Contemplate challenges that you expect to face. How might you approach them virtuously? Write about it. Like it can be a bullet list, it can, it doesn't have to be paragraphs, but like what can you bring in to your response so that you're prepared, if the thing happens or when the thing happens to react or not to react, sorry, respond, hello, to respond to things in a way that embodies those virtues. And another thing you can do for journaling, write down quotes or ideas that inspire you, right? They can inspire you to keep working on your wisdom, to keep moving forward with justice. You're doing these things so that you are stronger and you have the courage to move forward and to have the difficult conversations and to be present in the situations with balance, with temperance. So let's try a quick journaling exercise. Okay. So think about your day so far. All right. Or if it's your first thing in the morning, think about yesterday. And is there a moment that you exhibited one of the Stoic virtues? Just think about it, pick one, or even a moment where you didn't. You could have, but you didn't. And take a moment to reflect on this, just to see, like, interesting. Okay, now imagine how you might approach a similar situation in the future, keeping the four virtues in mind. And this kind of reflection done regularly, it can be transformative because you have front of mind how you want to behave and how you want to be. And by emulating those virtues, by continuing to strive to operate in the world on the basis of those virtues, it is a freaking game changer. Oh my gosh. I would say this is as revolutionary as being in touch with your gratitudes. Seriously, it is absolutely transformational. So, to help you get started with the journaling, let's do some prompts based on the Stoic virtues. So, for wisdom, you can ask yourself, what's the most important lesson I've learned recently? Hmm, how do I apply that to my life? Okay, juicy. Justice. Have I treated someone unfairly recently? Identify that. How can I make amends? Can I make amends? Are my amends just doing better going forward? What does that look like? And courage, this is where, dang, that mirror gets woof, difficult to look at. Courage. What is something I'm avoiding out of fear? What is the courageous action I can take? What can I do every day to move that forward? And remember temperance. Where do you struggle with self control? What is one step that you could take to improve in that area? And so the goal isn't to berate yourself for where you fall short. Okay. It's to learn, it's to grow. And the wise person isn't going to grieve for the things that have been lost. They're going to celebrate for what they still have. That was a butchering of an Epictetus quote. You're welcome. So let's tie those two practices together. Because the Stoic virtues give us a framework for ethical living, and journaling provides a method for putting that framework into practice by regularly just reflecting on what we do through the lens of the virtues. We can gradually align our behavior more closely with our ideals. This is a current practice of mine. Am I great with it and perfect and always even and smooth? And no, I am not. I'm still me. I still am, ebullient or, I just am energetic and over. And so some temperance is tough for me, that balance, because I love living. I love life. And it's easy for me to say, like, oh, I'll have the dessert. It's a celebration. Or, oh, yes, I want another drink. It's a party, and not pay attention. So being present is also, I would say, a thing that is really, really helpful. So the challenge would be for the next week, try spending 10 minutes each evening journaling about your day and focus just on one virtue each day. Rotate through the four, do that for, a couple of rounds and see, like, has this practice affected your awareness, your decision making? Hmm, something to lean into, perhaps. So let's wrap up. So recap for today. The four Stoic virtues, wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance, are the framework for ethical living. All right. Philosophical journaling is just an amazing tool for self-reflection, personal growth, to move us to where we know we can be so that being that way comes with ease. It's not a struggle. And so combining the virtue ethics and the regular journaling, oh, what? You've got a more purposeful, ethical life. Amazing. So in our next episode, we'll explore the Stoic mindfulness and the Stoic approach to emotions. And until then, I encourage you to start your journaling practice and see how it impacts your daily life. Thank you so much for listening, and I will have a link in the show notes to a little freebie journaling sheet so you can have these and refer to them. Hugs, hugs, hugs!